Hey guys, working on Project Greenwing today. I can't tell you anything about it still, so I'm just showing you this lovely green background behind me, hiding everything to do with the project. You can probably see that I have a massive smile on my face. This is just the best. I can't wait to tell you guys about this. Soon, I think, still in the next few weeks, but soon everything will be unveiled. But this is where it's at. I'll finish up work. For now, I'm on a lunch break, and then later this evening I'm going to be catching up with Colin, my friend from Onion Skin, and we're going to be answering your questions on animation that you left in yesterday's video. Thank you for anyone who left a question, and we're just going to be chilling out and relaxing and having fun and celebrating what we can't tell you. It's nice to see you came back with me to my hotel room. I just wrapped up Project Greenwing for the day. I'm by myself. I miss Mrs. Jazza and Mini Jazza, but it's nice of the Greenwing staff to put me up here. That's pretty cool. I won't tell you where I am, it's a secret. Anyways, I really can't wait till I tell you guys, and I can't even express how fun this is and how well it's going. So when I can say stuff, I'll say everything. In the meantime, I've been judging some Challenge of the Month entries, doing a little bit of work, and Colin from the Onion Skin YouTube channel is going to be showing up anytime now. So I'm going to wrap this up, go meet him down in the lobby, and then we're going to have some tea and hang out and relax a bit. It's Colin.
Oh no, you've already started.
I have. It's vlog time, baby. When you like
open that thing quickly.
What was that?
You opened that thing quickly.
Yeah, it's second nature now. I'm like, fastest vlogger in the West.
Get used to this.
Colin, it's question time.
It is question
We're
time.
going to talk through community questions. We're going to keep it pretty rapid fire, but I'm also really lazy and I don't want to do any editing, so this is all going to be in one take if possible.
So
we'll start off with...
So if we tangent for 20 minutes,
we're going to try and keep it rapid fire. We'll do what we can. Anyways,
no promises.
So we're just going to go through questions, and basically I'm going to take the camera off you and I'm going to go first and ask you the first question, and we're just going to go swap between questions. If either of us have something to interject, we can do so quickly, but in general we'll swap it and we'll back and forth it. Yeah, so
alright, I'm excited.
I'll start off. So yep. Colin, question by Brooke Persinger. What is the point in your life that you realized you could make a living off art?
When the offer came, really. I was animating for myself for many years, just throwing them up on YouTube and Newgrounds like all of the people in our group did. And it was eventually getting to a point where it wasn't seeming feasible anymore. So I was off working in a shop or a local laser tag, and the call really did come out of nowhere. So it's a hard truth how much of a role luck can play. But you can have certain control over it, I suppose. Like, never stop making friends, never stop networking, never stop practicing. And word of mouth gets around. Like that's how it happened. Does that mean rapid fire is done?
No, that's me. That's I agree with the things you're saying.
Oh, good. Yeah, so that offer that came out of the blue was because people found out, everyone I knew that I really liked Doctor Who and that I really liked animating. And then a friend found out that there was a studio operating a couple of hours away that were making animated Doctor Who. So they said, you better talk to those guys.
And that started the ball rolling.
So I did, and it took many months, but eventually I became not crap enough for it to work out.
That's awesome. All right, swap over.
Yep.
That's your turn. So I think it's just the top question. I moved it so it's at the top.
Okay, question. Did you go to college? If so, what for? And do you think a degree in animation field is worth it?
I did not. I've always been selfish and done things my own way. Colin has worked in a studio, so he has a different experience, and I don't know if different environments he's worked in a degree's been necessary, but from my own personal path it hasn't been, and I am glad I didn't go to college, but that's not to say I wouldn't learn anything from university or anything. I just don't do well in a formal learning environment.
I would like to answer this one.
All right, let's do it.
Bam! Okay, so when I first started, I was in a company of only 5 animators. We eventually grew to about 30 animators and a company of over 50 people. So we saw a lot of people come and go in that time. And it was interesting how little of a role college degrees or anything like that actually played. Pretty much none at all. And I feel bad saying that because, sorry, you handed me my phone to unlock it and then I just turned it off again. Anyway, So, for example, we saw quite a number of people come in who had gone to college, but that unfortunately bred some sort of degree of arrogance to it because they would.
I've been to college.
I know, right? Like, they'd give us their work, their trial animations and whatever, and we'd give notes saying, yes, that's very good, but you need to fix this, work on this for it to fit within our house style and the theme of our show.
What do you know? You didn't go to college.
That happens.
Oh, fuck that.
Just like, but I like it the way it is.
And I'm college. I'm sorry.
They weren't able to take criticism. Meanwhile, we had people come in who hadn't been to college, so therefore they were very humble. You know, being a studio specialist is like, I don't have what it takes.
So a short answer to the question would be...
From my...
Do you need to go to college to get... No, to
You don't need to go, but I worry saying that because I don't want it to rule it out. It is definitely for some people, definitely benefits some people.
But apparently most people in animation who have gone to college are douches. That's really what you're trying to say.
Felix went to college and he turned out just fine. It comes down to... Can you animate?
That's exactly what it comes down to.
Focus on making yourself decent. If going to college gives you that focus to try and improve your skills and keep up your pace and discipline and receiving criticism, fantastic, go for it.
Awesome. Well, seeing as though that was your question...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can do the next one, sorry. Have you scrolled it down? Yes. Have you ever delved into pixel animation? Any advice in contrast to regular frame-by-frame animation? That came from Cantrona.
The answer to that is mostly a no, except for when I was like 14, I tried once to do like a sprite animation, but that doesn't really count. So I don't have no advice for pixel animators. All right, Constant.
Oh wait, you need that.
I do. I need this. Yeah, phone time. Okay. Are you going to how to animate on Adobe Animate?
Am I gonna?
Yeah.
Well, that's why you exist, isn't it?
No, I want to know your answer.
Anyone who comes to me asking for Flash advice, I send Joss's way. Because anyone who wants to learn Toon Boom, he sends my way.
Exactly. We do swapsies.
This is why I believe that competition in our field doesn't exist.
Unless you started doing Flash tutorials, in which case, fuck you! Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Sorry, he's gotten me fired up. We've already been talking for the last...
We have
very strong opinions between... We've been really like... Not like clashing, but really enjoying getting angry about the same thing. Alright.
Okay, we've left it, sorry. So this comes from Adrew. Yeah, Adrew.
Yeah.
I want to do animation full time. I'm working on animations in my spare time and uploading them to YouTube. I'm looking at Patreon for when I have a big enough following to help me with funds. What are some fun and creative Patreon perks for people who support me there that I can offer while they wait for my animation to be uploaded? What are some other avenues that I can make money off my creations in the long run besides Patreon?
That is a really good set of questions. But no, that's actually a really good question. Patreon's tricky because it needs to be both sustainable but provide value and somewhat scalable. The things that come to mind for me are offering assets and resources, since a lot of the people who are going to follow your animation content would be interested in animation. So it could be screen capture recordings that you could speed up and talk over and do a bit of a behind the scenes exclusive to patrons. Maybe doing like a once a month Google Hangout Q&A, things like that are pretty scalable because then you can dish them out to, as an audience grows, you can give them out with the same ease, but still provide value. There was another part of that question.
He asked
other creative things you can
other
do
ways you can do. So I'd like to ask.
A product is always good. Like my personal.
You don't
opinion,
have Patreon, do you?
I do not. And my personal.
And why is that?
I have different feelings about Patreon, and I won't delve into the can of worms. I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's not for me, and I don't think it's for everyone, and I think it's very tricky to do well. I'll do a video on that sometime in the future, but. I don't think it's wrong, and I think definitely if you want to make a living or make that step, it can be a good avenue to do so. It's just hard to do well. So in doing it well, you want to provide value, and you also, want to be a part of that conversation really well. But I'm losing my train of thought. Other creative things you can do to make money, provide something of value. Money equals value.
Provide something that justifies that, and don't ask for the money more than you're actually giving people. I think people make the mistake of thinking, I want to make a living doing something, then jumping to asking for money from people and then just turning off their audience. The reality is you need to give before you can ask. So with something like trying to make money, I think a product is always a good thing. It's the foundation of my livelihood, because I'm able to make an ebook or make an asset, and then spend all of my time making free stuff for YouTube, and then on the side just be like, if you like my stuff, if you want a bit more, go check out the product. And that's just been a huge valuable asset to me and to my community, because I'm actually able to give extra through that. Anyways, I've lingered on that question for too long.
You like to say that YouTube is best for building an audience, and then you can do things with that audience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Solid advice.
Okay. So I'll skip the MJ question for you. How many frames do you recommend doing animations in? I'm assuming they're talking about frame rate.
Frame rate.
This is a question you're much better suited to answering than I am too, because you worked in an industry standard. So
yes. Well, I prefer 24. Most people prefer 24 because it's easily divisible. You can drop down to 12, 6, 8, whatever you want, because it's an even number. Typically 25 or even 30 is what you can see on the timeline for TV or film. But of course they're harder to lop in half. You kind of just do it in twos anyway. It doesn't really make any difference.
Okay. So
yeah, that's a bit of a
to summarize the answer,
sorry.
the obvious is a
24,
pick, usually pick between 24, 25 and 30.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I don't see...
And those are the go-tos because
you can
easily
animate at
divisible
12 frames
24
per second, yeah.
Yeah. And then at 25, why is that? Is it just a number?
I think that's just because what televisions tend to play at.
Okay.
Or
And
they
then
play
30 is what?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about the specs behind the codecs. I just know that we had to do...
But they're the
25,
three
so
go-tos usually.
Yeah. I do 24 whenever I'm doing something personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Cool.
Sorry, it's not a great answer. It's just what we do.
All right.
What do you use?
I used to do 20. Actually, no, I used to do 30, and then I've gone to 24.
Right, for the same reason?
Tellteller was 24, I believe. Could be the other way around. I forget.
Right. Okay, there's one here that might be better for me because it's talking about other
Jeez,
industry stuff.
Man, you've got the phone.
Okay, so no, this one that's good for you. What's the best animation short film you've ever seen on YouTube?
I've ever seen on YouTube.
Let's broaden that to Newgrounds.
Okay.
Because that's where we saw most of our short
Animated
films.
short film, define that. Like, is this a short story that's self-contained and a single narrative, or is it anything that is told visually through animation, but like...
What would you say by that?
The first thing that comes to mind for me in terms of what's impacted me the most, I find my emotional memory is much stronger than my technical memory as far as being impressed by animation. And the short it's actually a poem by Shane Koyuksana. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's called To This Day. It's a poem. It actually heavily inspired the Tellteller because the way he used rhythm and the way it was so emotionally impactful really left an imprint on me, and of the power of words and storytelling in that sense, using that in combination with music, and then it's all animated. But it's animated by lots of different animators, so the style is changing drastically throughout. It's not a singular narrative in that visual sense, but it's a beautiful piece to watch, and it's just comes together so well. It's incredible. Like, I cannot watch that without tearing up at some point in it. Like, it's really powerful. But as far as a singular piece of narrative animated storytelling on YouTube or Newgrounds, I would say... I can't answer that. I don't have an answer. But Tarboy was a big one for me, I'm going to be honest. When I first saw Tarboy, I was like, whoa.
Will he be appearing in tomorrow's vlog by any chance? Oh,
if he lets me put the camera on him. James Lee, creator of Tarboy, will be hanging out and having drinks and drunk with Jazza 3.0.
In less than 24 hours.
Let's do it. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
So, what else shall we talk about, Jazza?
I was aiming at that top one.
Okay.
You want to talk about that?
Is this what you want to answer, Colin? Is this the one you saved for yourself?
The one I saved for myself. Shut up.
Okay, but that doesn't mean you get to talk about it all day. We do want to move through questions.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
hard-hitting answer. Is animation harder than the simple American comic, or which takes more work? What are the main differences? I didn't quite understand the question. But
How I'm going to interpretate that, sorry if it's wrong,
Interpret.
is what's the difference between anime and Western animation?
Yep.
Because they do have quite distinctively different visual flavors. And the short answer of that is, I could talk about this long enough to do a whole video of it. And
The short answer of that is...
going by your discussion tonight, maybe I will. But
You definitely should.
It comes down, I think, more to the individual show rather than the two different genres or cultural backgrounds. Because if you compare 80s anime or something like One Punch Man to some of the more simpler things where it has a very high episode output, but you might notice that a good 15-20 minutes of it is just a series of still characters. They sometimes balance because those individual still drawings have a lot of detail, whereas a lot of Western animations have less detail in the characters, but there's a lot more movement. So it does sort of balance, but it really comes down to the budget of that show. If they can fork out, it will look better.
Okay.
It's all about the money.
So super short answer in terms of the workload.
Yeah.
You don't think there is a difference, it's about the production.
It's about the individual production, yes.
Okay.
Both ends of that cultural divide have their insanely detailed, expensive things, and also their El Cheapos, which they just knock out.
Yeah, fair enough. That was my impression when I watched Death Note. I was like, oh, this is actually really, really good. Obviously, I'm very uneducated when it comes to anime, but yeah, that was...
Who else has managed to make a scene of writing in a notebook the most dramatic and over-the-top thing in the world? Okay, so have you scrolled down to another one?
No, I haven't moved.
Okay. What software do you use to speed up footage of when you're drawing your videos? So I guess
Premiere. There are two ways of doing it.
Yeah.
One is to click on the clip, and in that top settings where you can change the scale and position and blah, 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 there's a time remapping thing that you can drop down and drag the thing up or down. That will speed it up or slow it down. You can drag it up to a max of 1000%, till my friend Rob showed me that with the shortcut R on the keyboard, which is a shortcut for something. I don't actually know the tool name. It's like something. There's a name for it. It essentially allows you to click and drag the size of the clip, and it will make it that fast. Like the start and end will be the same frames, and you can squeeze it all the way in, and it will play at that speed relative to the start and end, the position of the frame. So it's like the speed up, slow down tool, but totally flexible.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah. Anyways. Alrighty, your turn.
Cool.
Okay. I came third in a boxing match, says Toby. Congratulations, Toby. Christian, are there any free animation softwares which are Windows compatible that you can recommend? This is a good one for you.
Well, I've not really used them yet, but there's two that I keep getting told about. There's OpenTunes, which I've not been able to dabble much with yet because the Windows version is good, but I'm typical Apple filth. It doesn't work on the Mac very well yet. It is open source, so I expect it to get better. The other one is called Krita, which I think is also...
Spelt.
Starts with a K, Krita, I think.
Never would have guessed that.
And I believe that started as a more open source Photoshop-y image style one, and then it had animation features added into it. So give them a look. Let us know what you think, and if we should give it a go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alright, so
next is... I came third in a boxing match. Have you... Oh, the next one is talking about Krita. Have you tried Krita's animation software? So...
How's that for,
Yeah, how about that? Unanimous audience.
good flow, yeah.
Okay, so Max N. Coleman asks, what do you do to start off learning animation? How did you improve your skills at a beginning level?
It's a very good question. I think much like seeing a very impressive finished piece of illustrated artwork, it's intimidating and you don't know how they got to that. And you don't know like the construction phase of that drawing, let alone the years of effort into learning how to draw. So, same with animation. It's difficult to see the work of animators who have spent years animating and then thinking, I'm starting animation, how the hell do I do anything? The answer is baby steps and enjoying those baby steps. So I think most people, even the most epic animators I know, start with the same thing, making stupid things in PowerPoint flip books, and then eventually using a program like Flash or Toon Boom or whatever with stick figures because they're entertaining at the time, having fights. Those fights get more ambitious until stick figures aren't enough to contain the passion for wanting to make dramatic things, and then all of a sudden you want to tell stories, and then you're using full-figured characters, and then you're learning how to create scenes, and but it's this really long journey, and it's really incremental, and you've just got to learn to love exactly where you're at and want to be at just the next step. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Hope that helps. This is a smooth camera transitioning, man.
All right, simple but difficult to answer. What is the best animation you have ever seen, and who was the artist?
Ever seen? Okay, I'm going to answer that question a little bit differently, if I may, because I think best animation is relative when it comes to getting inspired by stuff.
But we're talking about subjective. We're talking about you. What is the best animation you have ever seen, and who was it by?
Because the best animation that I really liked may not have been, the technically.
That's not the question. It's about your favorite best animation. Stop being difficult.
Okay, it's difficult to answer. It's difficult to answer.
All right,
I damn well.
Stop turning your phone off. I need it for the questions.
I don't have the passcode on. Okay, so
this is going to turn into a full-fisted knockout too.
Okay, so how I'm going to answer that, I'm going to answer it however I want. Is growing up, a lot of the really high-end best animations, they weren't as inspiring to me because they simply appeared to be magic. I couldn't see how they were done. They were just a thing that existed. But the best animation that I would see would be the ones that were the most inspiring. Like, I could still see how they were done. And, you'd look at it and be like, that's super impressive, but I could do that. So I'm going to mention Tarboy again, funnily enough, because that was the best animation I had seen, where like I was so freaking blown away by it, but could still understand how it was put together. I could see the symbols in motion, I could see the parallax, I could see the parts that made up a character and sort of deconstruct it and be like, this is possible. And it really kind of demonstrated for the first time how far Flash could be taken, and how it you're not limited by what a program can do. You're only limited by your imagination and your intuition to be able to pull it off. So we should probably put a link to that video.
Absolutely. Here, let's swap over. You unlock your phone.
I'll unlock my phone again.
Let's do 2 more questions.
All right.
The last one will answer both of us.
Okay.
And
oh, wait, it's me.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's you. But yeah, look, we've obviously both mentioned Tarboy. Our friend James made it, and you'll meet him tomorrow night, hopefully, if he's willing to be on camera. Super great guy, but an amazingly talented artist. And this is a piece of animation that was released like 4 or 5?
No, it was like 10 years ago.
Jesus.
Yeah, it came out. I think it came out in 2006.
Yeah, so I'll link to Tarboy in the description. If you're animation junkies and you've gotten this far in this video and you haven't seen Tarboy, it's amazing. You're gonna love it. So go watch that. Absolutely go watch that, and subscribe to James Lee, and stick around tomorrow and we'll say hi to him. Okay. We'll wrap up. We'll do 2 more. So we'll do one for me and then we'll do one for us.
This is a good one for you. Any tips on making difficult character designs fun to animate? For example, lots of weapons, colors, exaggerated additions, etc.
Fun to animate.
Any tips for making difficult character designs fun to animate? So if you make something too complicated, they can become tedious to animate. So how do you keep them fun when there's lots going on?
Don't overcomplicate it. Sorry. I mean, it's sort of one of the things with 2D animation is detail is a part of the equation. And if you add a lot of detail and a lot of ambition, it is hard to animate.
What are the most fun types of characters to animate then, in your opinion?
This is a subjective, and my personal feeling on it is it's really about shape and design, and that's why when I did the Telltale, I really enjoyed focusing on creating a really unique character design between, like, they each had a different aesthetic feel and shape approach. Like the Telltale had the long pointy beard that curved up with the coat that sort of curved in the opposite direction, and the soldier had this weird meaty but blocky aesthetic with that really strong straight thing. Like, the way I like the idea of using shape and silhouette to a character's strength, and I find that interesting and really fun to animate because it can be challenging on different angles, but also to execute well is really satisfying.
And not to carry on too too much on this, but something I'd like to ask to further that is with the tale teller, there's two movements that come to mind that are very different approaches. And what would you find more fun compared to? There's a moment where the tale teller's reading from his book, and that's a very heavily tweened movement. The hand, the arm, the head, they're all one drawing that move, that slide around in a very aesthetically pleasing way. Meanwhile, there's a head turn, which is so freaking smooth that you'd swear it's 3D, but it's clearly a frame-by-frame movement. It wasn't.
No.
What was that?
It was tweens and shape twins.
You're mad.
Yeah.
You're mad. Okay. What?
Yeah. I'll break it down for you one day, but it took a whole day to do the head turn.
Wow. Okay, so I guess my question of do you prefer the tween-based or the frame-by-frame stuff more?
Honestly, I prefer the
invalidated.
frame-by-frame stuff more,
Right.
believe it or not. But there's a smoothness that the tweens provide. A smooth, silky tweenness. I don't know. I'm addicted to overworking things sometimes. I think much in my drawing style, like I can't help but draw outlines and thicker edges in my animated characters. And I think in a similar way, it's just an impulse that I have to over smooth emotion, and a lot of the time that is achieved through using tweens heavily. But at the same time, I really wanted to challenge myself in the frame by frame aspect because I really enjoy the result of that a lot more. So when the jester was talking and saying, "I'm a jester of the King's Court," like that was like I really wanted to push myself there, and it's not the most ambitious frame by frame stuff you'll have ever seen ever at all. But for me, that was the next step.
Yeah, but that head turn being tween, that's
But I'm a good tweener, damn it! All right, let's hit it up with the last question.
All right, should we go?
I'll tell you what.
I'll sit next to you.
Let's awkwardly edit selfie cameras.
Hi.
Hey,
You know,
what's the last question, Colin?
the last question, why did you decide to create a YouTube channel?
That's a good question.
It's a good mutual question, isn't
Good
it?
question.
We both have very different answers to it as well, I think.
Okay, I'll go first because Flash games, woo, and my mortgage, ever present, and my ability to pay the bills was going to be threatened, and it was an avenue, and I just tried every avenue that I could. YouTube was one of them. It was also something I was interested in, and I would refuse to do anything I wasn't interested in, and it worked, fortunately. So I'm lucky. But yeah, I just sort of stuck at it, and there was shaky times. Obviously, it was pretty difficult at first, but that's why I started the YouTube channel.
Nice. For me, I've always wanted to get more into it, but when it actually kicked off, the stars just aligned in a very good way. So, Joss had been doing this for a long time, and we'd known each other for a long time, and there was quite a bit of demand from your viewers to do Toon Boom stuff. But it wasn't a need that he was able to meet, so...
I was like, I can't take it anymore!
I think there was a video where you kind of just sat the audience down and said, no.
I did like I'm gonna try and use Toon Boom, and it was like an hour of, fuck this shit! Don't do it!
I was at work at the time, watching this stream,
I was ringing you, being like, save me, Colin!
It was that was an interesting day. Anyway, so I put together a full pitch to Jazza. It was like a 20-minute thing where I made samples of potential tutorials of just like 30-second clips of this is what would happen if I taught about this, and then sent it to him saying, "Hey, what if I did Toon Boom tutorials for you?" And he called me up and we sussed it out on the phone for a bit. And the decision that we came to was, rather than participating directly on Draw with Jazza, was if I started up my own channel, then I could, work to my own schedule and do whatever I want with it. But Jazza would sort of help get it off the ground, which he very much did. Because if you look at my analytics, there is a whole lot of spikes, and every time every one of those is from whenever I've done a guest appearance or something like that. So,
but he's made really regular
I
content
certainly
ever
owe a
since
lot
then,
to you.
and it's all been like really cool. And we've been talking about I'll pull in from this really stupid camera. We've been talking about his channel and plans upcoming now that he's like got a whole bunch more time to work on content. And
Yes.
it's really exciting stuff.
It's a very exciting time because because you know, I've said a few times in this video already, I've been working in a studio for the past like 4 years. I started Onion Skin about a year ago while still working, so it was restricted to late night or on weekends. And as soon as work finished, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, which was dedicate myself full time towards this, which is what I'm doing now. I've been looking forward to doing it for a long time, and it's just begun. I'm in a new city now, new house. I live in the same city as you now, which is good. Yeah. I can see you in person. Yeah. So it really is a fresh start for the channel. So you can expect more stuff and more high quality stuff. And I've plugging away. Sorry.
No, this is where I take over. I've seen this episode of a new format of show he's planning on releasing. That is just amazing, and like it's super cool. I won't give any. That's for you to divulge whenever you want to. I'll just
say that the automated copyright system is.
Yeah, no, but seriously, go subscribe to Onion Skin today if you haven't, because like even if you're not particularly interested in Toon Boom tutorials, he's just got loads of animation addict. Interesting stuff.
I'm moving into a lot of stuff that is more focused towards animation enthusiasts and consumers rather than actual content creators.
Of course, still making sure he's catering to his Toon Boom community and that as a whole, because that's his native platform. So if you like Toon Boom, want to learn that, jump over to Onion Skin. But if you like animation and you want to hear about animation, jump over to Onion Skin.
If you like Flash, stay put.
Yeah, don't leave me.
He's like the main spokesperson for the program in the world. Do you reckon? Are you like their main dude now?
And when they... I mean, Adobe does sort of like... Their emails start off with like, hey, Jazza, my main dude.
They say my main dude.
No.
That's a good one.
I don't know. I think it's just sort of a dry market, so I'm lucky I have a niche. You know, people look up Flash animation tutorials, and I'm the first up there because there's not a huge amount out there. So.
It's good. It's just a great time for this industry because anyone can do it, anyone can throw it up, and you don't need a multi-plane camera to do it.
It's true.
Those are insane.
You can be an animator.
Please do.
You.
We'll watch it, maybe.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
Tweet us a link to your animation.
What have we just committed ourselves to if we just got 10,000 animations coming your way?
A whole lot of awesome animation to watch.
We have.
Colin's left. It was awesome to catch up and just get enthusiastic about nerdy stuff that a majority of people in the world don't understand why we get so enthusiastic about it, but it was cool. And thanks to everyone who asked questions. It was really fun. I guess that's it for today. As you know, tomorrow's Green Wing again, so I can't show you any of that, but in the evening, to celebrate life and friends that we didn't get to catch up with properly at the Telltale launch party, I'm catching up with a whole bunch of animator friends that we alluded to, including Felix, James Lee, Colin, and Rob and Mackie are coming. My wife is coming. Sam Green will be there. Matt and other cool people. So hopefully some of them will be interested in saying hi on camera. Some of them might be shy, but that's okay too. Anyways, thanks for joining, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.